Hello, my curious friends. This is Nikki from Dive into Curiosity, and I hope you guys are doing great. Now venturing into 2021, a little further than the last time I made a video, I believe. And so we're gonna go ahead and dive into Scotland. So excited. I really enjoyed researching Scotland due to the fact that it is one of my heritage. And it was quite interesting. Before we go diving in though, I always would like to say I like to encourage people to do their own research. Scotland has a lot of creatures and monsters that are similar. So, but they're on the different sides of the island. Part of the moors mainly they have a lot of same sounding creatures that hunt or stalk within the moors. So, if you don't know what the moors are, it's a way of saying like the countryside of Scotland. It's a lot of land, and so there's a lot of stories that come from that open land area. They talk about a lot of creatures that hunt people, animals, so on. But a lot of the creatures also come from the loch or the lakes and things like that. A lot of them are very similar, and it's just depends the region that you're talking about or who you're talking to. You might get very different variations. But most of them have pretty similar characteristics, like slightly humanoid, mostly like with some monster traits and things like that. But however, still nonetheless a creature that stalks people in the night and things like that. So that's my disclaimer for this, is that we're only going to go over, I have a few creatures that I wanted to talk about. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. But keep in mind that they do a lot of repetitive, they just repeat the same kind, but with different names, just depending on where they're from. They might have slight different characteristics, but it's not very different at all. And I mean no insult when I say that, but once you dive into research for that kind of thing, you'll find that in a lot of different cultures, they have similar but same creatures and monsters, just with different names and different characteristics. So you have to really pay attention to the research that you're doing and see which version you want to talk about or you want to learn more about, and so on. So that's just my disclaimer. And I always encourage to please go out and do your own research and find out, how many more is she talking about that could be out there? That's really cool. Things like that. I always encourage research and the growth of knowledge, especially on other cultures, countries, their superstitions, obviously, because I'm talking about it. But yeah, and a lot of Scottish superstitions are pretty similar to United States. I didn't really hear too many odd ones. And a lot of them say in ancient Scotland time. So not a lot of them nowadays are practiced. But there's pretty similar ones. So I'm going to go over the ones that I hadn't heard of that may seem quite different to us. And then I'm going to go over the Scottish creatures, starting off with the ones that could be harmful to us or mean, and then we'll go into the nice ones. So I like to end it on a good note, kind of thing. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So one of the things that I noticed is that in ancient Scotland, it is considered bad luck to to get out of the left side of the bed. But it also kind of makes sense, because I've heard a lot of people say oh, I got out on the wrong side of the bed. So there are a lot of people, no matter what culture it is, that talk about getting out of bed on the wrong side of the bed. So it could be the left side, could be the right side. But for Scotland, it's the left side. So here's one that was kind of interesting to me. It was wishing someone good luck in a suit. So didn't matter what they were going for, if they were going for an interview, or let's say they had like a show or a thing that they were going to do, being in a suit. You can wish them good luck. But if a woman said good luck first, it was bad luck. And then a typical one that we hear in the States is opening an umbrella indoors. That is a no-no here too. Makes sense. And then rocking an empty cradle. So it makes sense to me because it's kind of like a bad omen. You're like rocking something that should have life in it, but there's no life in it. So I was like encouraging that kind of thing. That's bad luck in Scotland. Don't do it. All right. So moving on, I'm going to get into the monsters or mythological creatures. You can say either way because these kind of creatures are not very nice, and you might not want to run into them. So we have the Baban Sith. This is a dangerous female vampire. I don't know if you guys have noticed by now, but I like vampires. As odd as it sounds. But the reason why I like vampires is because 10 out of 10, they're a misunderstood creature. Most of the time, it's so far stretched beyond the truth of what was really going on, but it just kills me and makes me kind of giggle. It's everywhere. From Scotland to China to Spain. I've even heard of it somewhere in the southern, but South America. I've heard it everywhere. Vampires are everywhere, and they all have their own unique twist on such creatures. But for Scotland, it's just said that it's a vampire that hunted the Highland regions, and that's it. Not a whole lot of details other than they're dangerous and they do drink people's blood. So, vampire. And then we have a best black. See, for me, I think it's actually black. Sound about a little more right. But it's a shape-shifting demon who hunted the Odell Pass on the Isle of Skye. So, in all the things that I researched, there's always shape-shifting creatures. So this one is a shape-shifting demon that hunts people and animals within the Odell Pass. Scary. A Badok. Dark gray humanoid figure who was thought to foretell the death of clan members. So this is a big theme in Scottish folklore. I haven't gotten to Irish folklore yet. That'll be someday. But in a lot of Highland regions, especially like Scotland, they talk about figures that would give omens for the clans. So if you don't know this, for Scotland is based off clans. Like the Macintosh clan is my clan. O'Reilly, so on and so forth. If you watch Brave and they talk about like the main clans that are fighting over ... That's real. They really did have clans and they still have them today. They don't have them like as defined and more regional as they did back in the day. But they still do have them. And Macintosh can be spelled many different ways. But the big point of this is they would always have these creatures that would tell you if it was going to be a good omen or a bad omen. And most of the time it was, it would tell of death. So if they heard or saw this figure and they were wailing, it was telling you that someone in your clan is going to die. And it would usually be like by or in the region of that clan. And there's a lot of these. Humanoid, non-humanoid, just figures that are dark and bring on that bad ominous feeling of that someone's going to die or something bad is going to happen to the clan. So, they have a Koineg, banshee-like spirit attached to the clans, who wails at the bottom of the waterfalls before a catastrophe or death. Again, someone that gives an omen. And there's actually 2 different versions of this. So it really depends on which side of the island you're talking about. Or if they're near the locks, or if they're in the moors. They might have different variations or the way that they say about them, but they all typically have similar meanings behind them. This one is wails at the bottom of waterfalls to give sign of bad things to come or someone to die. We have a Ku-Sith, green phantom dog who hunted the highland regions. Dogs in a lot of mythologies, if you see a ghost-like dog or you see a big lumberous, like just black or green or any dark colors, usually did think to be bad omens. Scottish are no different for that, for sure. But this one hunted the highland regions, so definitely to be feared of. Usually, to me, when they say dog, it tells me it was like a type of wolf. So it's a wild creature, just basically doing what it naturally does. But if it attacks your sheep or it hurts anybody within your clan, you're going to make it known so that people can be wary of it. Well, there's some people that are brave enough to go out there and try to shoot it and kill it and stuff. So there's that. Usage. A water horse. So this is a very common thing in Scottish mythology. Water horses are incredibly throughout all the mythology of Scotland. All of it. However, Western civilization loves to romanticize it, and they were not nice creatures at all. Not even in the littlest bit. This one, the water horse, if anyone tried to ride it, it would bond your skin attached to it so you could not get off. Like, it would fuse you to it, and then it would ride into the depths of the loch and then eat you, devour the person that tried to ride it. I don't blame it. Not everything is meant to be tamed. And that's what a lot of people have a problem with, is they want to tame everything that is wild. It's just a pure good bone. You know? So, moving on. Yes, I have notes, because I'm old. Now we're going to get into some of a little more fun, not bad ones. Now keep in mind, just as many as there are mythological creatures that do bring bad omens, there are some that bring good omens. There's a creature that is a type of fae that will sit along and eat with the person so they are not gaining weight, and that could also be a bad thing, of course, as well. If it's good, it comes with bad as well. They have the brownies, which are not a bit good. Scottish fairies and very tricksters. They love to pull pranks on people. They don't like their area invaded, and just funny little things that love to just play games and jokes on people. It's typical fae. And then we have the Glastig, fairies with golden hair that helped around the farm. I'm sure it probably came with a price. You probably have to leave a share of whatever you were growing for them as a thank you. But they helped around the farm, and that's great. It's fantastic. The Kelpies, Another water horse, those are just sightings that they would see, water horses. A lot of times people would see it and then they would leave it alone. They might come back to see if they could see it again, but there's a lot of sightings of kelpies. There's different water creatures, as well as brownies and things like that. Scotland has a lot of creatures that most of them were just for warnings or foreboding or omens. Not a whole lot of super great, I help everybody kind of creatures, which I kind of respect. A lot of mythological creatures are out there as a warning. It's just like the stories of like Cinderella or Snow White. Most people don't take into account that those stories were not told to make people feel better about themselves. They were stories to teach people lessons, and Scotland has a lot of stories on mythological creatures because they want people to stay from that side of the loch because it was dangerous. Stay away from that side of the moor because it was dangerous. And might be also more that like some moors have really deep rooted mud that can make you fall and hurt yourself, so maybe they wanted you to stay away from that side of the moor for that reason. So a lot of these creatures, that's what it goes for, is just protecting people. And that's, as I continue to do more research on cultures and their mythological creatures, as well as their superstitions, it's usually to teach people lessons. Although people love to romanticize them and make them out to be like something they can, I'm gonna run away with a kelpie. Not a good idea. So that is for Scotland. I'm going to continue to do a little more research on their creatures. So if I find anything else, I'll go ahead and give you guys a full update. That if I feel like sharing and wanting you guys to know, of course. But I hope you are having a great day, and I thank you for taking your time to sit down with me and dive into more of other people's culture and their mythological creatures as well as superstitions. So I'm going to start diving into another country, and I hope you guys are excited. And I know I'm not going to tell you, but I'm pretty excited and I can't wait to share with you guys. So wherever you are, day or night, I hope you have a great day. So stay curious, guys.